The problem with our generation is that everyone wants everything instantly. For example, instant coffee. You just take a cup, pour some milk into it, put some coffee powder, put it in a microwave, and then in 5-10 minutes, your instant cup of coffee is just ready to sip. And then instant cab. You just open Ola Uber, book the cab, and then in 5-10 minutes, the cab driver is near your home. And then instant food delivery. You just open Swiggy Zomato, and then in 5-10 minutes, the delivery boy is near your home. And then if you want answers, you can get it instantly. You just have to Google it. And now you can chat GPT it too. And then we as a generation think that success also works this way. Success works instantly. Because we are so used to these privileges, we think that success is also easy. But actually, it is far from reality. Our previous generation never had this kind of privileges. Instant cabs, instant food delivery, instant answers. They were mostly in survival mode, getting through life. And all of a sudden, when we are having these privileges, we are born with these privileges, we think that success is also instant. But that is not actually true. Success is never instant. Success requires consistency. Success requires hard work. Success requires discipline. And success requires years of patience before anything works out. For example, I'll give you an incident. In 2016, when Jio came to India, all these influencers on YouTube and Instagram just blew up. And then some people had millions of views on their videos. And then what I've seen that in their particular timeline is that these people amounting to the fame that they had like jewelries, like ornaments and gold chains around them. And then within 6 months, they were gone. Like they just disappeared and never to be seen again. Because that is how instant fame works. And for example, take instant wealth. So if a son is alcoholic and he has inherited wealth from their parents and grandparents, that alcoholic son will splurge all the money, will waste all the money, because he cannot handle that level of wealth that their parents and grandparents have built from their hard work. And then, for example, if you give a Ferrari or Lamborghini to a teenager, so that person, if the person is a rich kid or something, that person will ram it into a person on the street. So cases were actually booked on that basis, because that person doesn't know the value of that thing, that doesn't know how to handle it. That is how inherited wealth works. And then take instant relationship. A person just gets into a relationship based on beauty and money, and then after a particular period, most of the time they suffer because it was not built on good foundation. And then take Nawazuddin Siddiqui. He took 12 years in the Bollywood industry to actually make it with that one film, Gangs of Wasipur. So 12 years of success, 12 years of consistency, 12 years of patience. That's how we got it. And then take APJ Abdul Kalam. He went from paper boy to president. Take MS Dhoni. He went from ticket collector to World Cup champion. Same with Elon Musk and Jack Ma. They took so many years and had so many failures, multiple failures, and multiple times they thought to quit, but they haven't quit, and then they reach that level and are able to sustain it. That is how success works ultimately. And then I've noticed that in our generation, we quit too soon. Like our generation just quits too soon, like within 6 months when after you join the company, and they complain that the environment is not good, or the manager is not good, or the work is not fulfilling. But actually, the previous generation, they never had this kind of option, because the whole family was dependent on one person's salary, and no job means no food the next day. And they had to do it. They stick to the same company, they stick to the same job their whole lives. That is how they built wealth and success. But our generation is not used to that level of discipline and consistency. And that's what I think mostly. And then I have my story, this sculpture story. So this sculpture just goes to the river bank, and then takes out a few rocks so that he wants to make an idol for the temple. So he what he does is he takes those rocks to the temple and throws it down the steps of the temple. And then he notices that most of the rocks that were thrown down turned into dust. And then few just broke completely apart. Few just cracked. And then there was one rock, no matter how many times you throw it down the steps, multiple times it wouldn't break. And then he knew which rock is suitable for carving his idol. That is how, the patience and discipline and consistency builds you over time, unbreakable. And then comparison is actually a thief of joy. This is actually well said, because uh, if your friend just bought a bike and then shows off to you, you feel a little jealousy and insecurity. But most of the time, not all the times, few times. So what happens is, you don't know how he bought that bike. He never told you that. Maybe he had his father's or parents' money in that, or he took EMI on that particular bike or car, and then he is paying month by month. You don't have that stress. And for example, take if your friend has a good job in an MNC, so you think that he's working in a very good role and a good job and good salary package. You don't know that his uncle or some relative is the head of the company, or he got it via recommendation. So people have this kind of special privileges in their life that you don't have. That is how it works. You don't know that. You don't have the background information. So do not think that people have achieved success by joining a MNC or bike, because even if they join that company, if they don't have the skills, they will face a lot of trouble. And then this kind of success is not like easy. If there was a particular timeline that within 6 months I will get success, everyone in the world would be successful. For example, if there was 6 months of timeline, and then if you do these things and it was written, then everyone in the world would follow that and be successful. But success never works like that. Reality is very different. It takes multiple tries, multiple failures, and then after that, after a few years of hard work and discipline, they reach that level of success and are able to handle it. That is how it works. And success is not a marathon, it is a sprint. So I remember one story from my childhood, that of a tortoise and the rabbit. The tortoise wins because the rabbit overestimates itself. That is the whole point. Because when people overestimate their skills and their confidence and all that which got into their head, wealth and all, they are most likely to lose. And people who have slowly and steadily built their foundation via hard work and discipline, they ultimately win the race long term. That is how success works. And I would say that start and don't quit. Your future self will thank you, because ultimately most people don't reach success because they quit too early. And that is the problem with our generation. We are never like sticking to one thing. We are exploring a lot of things. I think to reach success, you need to have that one thing to focus on and not multiple things. So it takes lot of time, lot of effort to reach success. So if you concentrate on multiple things, your success, your work is divided. So instead of that, if you concentrate on one particular thing, you might reach success. And that is all I wanted to say. Thank you.